Roy Seidler was the playing coach of the Giroux Athletics for 31 years. You covered over 3 decades with that team. And you must have made a lot of friends and saw a lot of ball players come and go.
We certainly did. I mean, baseball was kind of my chosen sport. Actually, the 31 years with the coaching and stuff, I go back a little further than that because I started to play senior baseball when I was 15 years old. And turned 60 this summer, and I played with the old-timers Giroux last year, so I really had about a run of 44 years from the time they used to have Little League. So when you graduated from Little League, that was 14 years old, you had 2 options. You quit baseball or you play senior, so I made the jump.
What trends did you see in the way baseball evolved over that period of time?
I think as I was reflecting, one of the things is that when I grew up, baseball was kind of the only game in town. So don't forget, I'm going back a ways now. There was no slow pitch, there was no fastball, there were no golf courses. So when I was a young man growing up in southeastern Manitoba, baseball was it. And every town had a baseball team. Some towns had 2 baseball teams. And now when you look around, certainly in my part of the province, you don't see that type of interest in baseball. So the ones that have stuck with it, they love the game, and there's not as many kids involved now because there's so many other options. But that's been a change.
I think so, yeah. Sometimes these sports tend to have a cycle and then they come back up again.
They do, and I think that one of the great things that happened in our region, and I was involved with minor baseball for about 12 years also in getting some of that started. And when the Toronto Blue Jays started to have some prominence, that really helped us in rural Manitoba. And you're right, baseball then took a bit of an upswing. I know when I was involved with the Carillon Minor Baseball Association, when we started, we had about 10 teams, and within about 7 or 8 years, the association grew to over 130 minor baseball teams. So there was a lot of interest. Now there's a bit of a wane in interest, and they're down to maybe around the 60 or 70 teams. So yeah, you do see those cycles.
Roy, what about things like highlights? What would be something special that you can reflect on from your career?
I think I could think of 2 or 3 things. I think the fact that a small community like Giroux, and I think there's lots of them in rural Manitoba, that could sponsor and sustain a baseball team over an extended period of time from a team concept and being part of that, very exciting, and a lot of pride in that. Feel very good about that. I think in terms of personal highlights, there's lots. To be really candid, one of my all-time highlights when I turned 50 and I was coaching an intermediate ball team, and they were a little short on pitching one day, and I still was in pretty good shape, so I got myself out on the mound and I pitched against the St. Boniface team somewhere into the 5th or 6th inning, and my son was catching. He was already 22, 23 years old. I know that sounds a bit self-serving, but gosh, that was a thrill. It's like Gordie Howe playing with his kids, right? Yeah. And that's probably a highlight for me. And I have played with both my boys a little bit as they were coming up in senior ball, and I was coaching and still playing a little bit. I still play. As a matter of fact, I'll be going to Phoenix in 2 weeks to play with the team from Red Deer in the World Series of Senior Baseball, it's called, for gentlemen 60 and over. Mm-hmm. Look out.
Yeah. You're a fan as well, I'm sure. You still follow the major leagues and so on?
Absolutely. I follow the Blue Jays. It was really sad to see the Montreal team have to go, but I'm a fan. I certainly enjoy the experience of the Gold Eyes here in town. I think everyone pretty well generally recognizes that's a pretty nice little gem we have locally here that we can all enjoy. Sure. So yeah, I'm still a fan. And,
how about idols in the sport? Any people that you looked up to and had to associate with along the way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're at the major league level, Jackie Robinson, one of the most revered athletes in the history of sport, and why. You won't be remembered necessarily for his baseball statistics, although they were certainly adequate. But there's a blend of someone that took a sport, but also took an issue and was able to help get the integration into baseball. So if you look in baseball, he's one of my all-time heroes. I saw a guy play 25 years ago, so named Rod Carew, when he was playing in Minnesota. And I saw him do things that day on a ball diamond that I didn't think that a ball player could do. He was 4 for 4. He broke up a double play at one point to score the winning run. There was a play in the infield where he should have caught a pop-up. He let it drop. The guy wasn't running, threw it to second, threw it to first, got a double play. He did it all. He's an exceptional ball player.
Yes,
Lots of great guys that play ball.
Sounds like you've got some good memories of your association with baseball.
Baseball, you know, the old saying, been very good to me. It's, I think what's also happened, if you talk about trends, I think there was a time when baseball you played till you were late 20s, early 30s, and then A, you were physically not able to play anymore, and B, you know, you had to move on to other things. Baseball, like a lot of other sports, is now starting to take on the way of being a lifetime sport. And last year, and I don't know if you're aware of that, Bob, last year in Canada, the Canadian Old Timers Federation, their Old Timers baseball tournament was held out in Red Deer, for the first time had a category 50 and over.
Wow.
And our Drew team played in that. So, you know, baseball, sure, I say, the guys say, you still play ball? I say, yes. How could you do that? I said, I find guys that my age to play against. I have no presumptions. I could still play with the young guys. But when we get together, it's just the camaraderie is still there. And I think that's a void that a lot of athletes, both professional and amateur, struggle with, because now this void of this social circle and this excitement, where is it? It's gone. So either you golf or you find ways to keep it up. But the old-timer experience has been just wonderful for us. Our Drew team, we've had a team since 1988, and we did play last year. And this year it looks like maybe the run is over, but it's been a great run.
And Roy, finally, how does it feel, and what you're thinking about being a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Well, it's a humbling kind of a thing. It really is. You kind of say there's an aura around that you think is for somebody else, and you never quite see yourself being part of that, because the day I started when I was 15, I said I'm starting to put together my portfolio to get into the Hall of Fame. That was the farthest thing from my mind. I played for the love and the joy of the game, and when something like that happens, and you're kind of honored by your colleagues and people that know the game, it just feels real good.
The memories of Roy Seidler, a proud member of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame.
Thank you.